Hey everybody, welcome back to the NF Method podcast. I'm your host, Steph, aka Nutritional Freak. If you don't know already, it's already episode 3, which is nuts. I'm getting on it. I'm on top of the editing, getting guests on the podcast, and trying to make this as fun and easy to listen to as possible. Today, I'm going to sit down with somebody that I grew up with, who I love and adore. She's amazing. She is someone that I was fortunate enough to have known probably, I would say, since I was 10, 10 or 11, if I have to take a wild guess. She will be able to let me know when we actually get on this podcast together. But I wanted to record like a little intro because she is an incredible human being. She is a strength and conditioning coach at the moment for Fordham University. She is someone that I constantly look through on social media who has a energy drink addiction like myself, who is super, super strong. And I can say that I'm strong, but I'm not that strong. And she has an incredible story that I think a lot of you will resonate with. And seeing things from eye to eye, different perspectives on her day-to-day basis, how she gets through her motions and her routine, what her struggles are. You guys know the drill by now, hopefully by episode 3, but getting an idea on what she's currently doing and kind of going back and forth. This is meant to be a catch up between her and I, so it's supposed to be an easy listen, trying to ask her questions to have us have a deeper conversation about certain topics. So it could be fitness related, it could be collegiate athletes, it could be anything, it could be based on her story, what she's gone through for nutrition, because I know for a damn fact she has an amazing story, as I said. So without further ado, this is Brittany, and Brittany, take the floor.
Hi, I'm Brittany VanderGroef. I'm currently an assistant strength and conditioning coach at Fordham University in the Bronx, New York. I have known Steph since we were around 10 years old, which
Crazy.
is so crazy to think about. Um, yeah, a little bit about my education. Steph and I went to the same high school together. RIP.
R.I.P. I was just gonna say R.I.P. Rip.
Um, yeah, and then after that, I went to Norwich University in Vermont, got my degree in exercise science, played softball there. Division 3 school in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. And then for grad school, I ended up going to Merrimack College in Massachusetts, where I did my fellowship at UMass Lowell. That was during COVID, so it was just a little weird coaching wise. Did a lot of Zoom lifts and Zoom training sessions, but I think as a coach and as a person, you have to pull the good things out of every situation. And that taught me to just be so adaptable and to go out of my way to network and make connections, which has helped me so much now in my career. Yeah, I met a lot of really cool people there, got a lot of good experience there. And then after I graduated, I went to Villanova University in Pennsylvania and did an internship there. And I had worked with football while I was at Norwich, but that was my first time working with an FCS program. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. My mentor, Mike Tucker, he was really just the first person to like hold me to a standard. And I just fell in love with the atmosphere of college football, working in a Division 1 college weight room. I think there are a lot of really, really good people there. And we'll get into like, that's what all I care about now. Like, I couldn't care less about the logo or where I work, or that's a lie. I care about where I work. But my most important thing is my coworkers and the people that I work with, and grew a lot as a person and as a coach there. And then I went to Iona University in Westchester, New York. Was there for only about 6 months. I was there for only 6 weeks when the head strength coach left,
Oh,
and
jeez.
it was me and a part-time coach who I'm still very close with. And I was like, I don't even know where the printer paper is. Like, I don't know who to ask. I literally been here less than 2 months. But again, such a learning experience. I worked with primarily women's basketball. I ended up taking on men's basketball as well.
Nice.
Worked under Rick Pitino. And then a plethora of other sports: softball, women's soccer, golf, water polo, swim. And then in August of 2022, I took the job at Fordham. And at Fordham, my primary responsibilities are football, baseball, men's water polo, women's rowing, squash, and golf.
So
And
every sport.
it's
Every sport.
And when I went there initially, I had those teams and then track and field and cross country. And I usually get that reaction of, oh my gosh, that's such
That's a
a
lot.
big, yeah. And it definitely is, but like I think that's exactly what I needed at that point in my career where I needed the coaching reps, I needed the experience. We were talking today about with our interns about just like you build self-esteem and self-confidence by doing things that scare you and uncomfortable things over and over again, and that's how you build self-trust.
Right.
And that's exactly what I think of when I think of like my time at Iona and my time at Fordham and like how much I've changed and grown from those experiences. And it's really, really cool. I am trying to enjoy where I am in my career right now because I feel like I've just rushed to this point of
Mm,
like college in 3 years. I did my master's in 1 year.
so
And
smart.
but no, that's not a flex.
It's a flex.
I
You're so
just crave
smart.
validation of accomplishments.
Brittany's just so smart. And fun fact, Brittany's mom was my camp counselor. I think my first year, like my third grade self that just moved into the town and did not. She's like, "You're gonna love my daughter." I'm like, "Okay, we could be friends. Find out." And we ended up going to the same high school together, which you did play softball too, but we didn't play in high school
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
obvious reasons. Um,
I like blacked out a lot of high school to be very
I was I was gonna say, did you black out during high school? There's a lot of stuff that was happening in our high school for sure. I mean, I I don't even know where to start with your fitness journey because mine obviously started in high school. So I was just talking to her about this before we hit record because we're just kind of going back and forth. I did say this was going to be a catch up. So more of me understanding where you started to now and why you went this route. I obviously went the other route of I wanted to do sports and I still kind of do. I do train athletes, but not as frequent as I used to. It's mainly middle school kids or youth kids, and then a couple of high school kids that I take one on one, but it's mainly the adult general population between 30 to 60, 70 years old. So, and I went through a weight loss journey, and I'm sure you've obviously went through a lot too. So would love to hear your side of that. And then we could talk about struggles and your mindset and what gets you through the day. So talk about your journey, where you started.
Before I start talking about me, I absolutely loved your first episode
Oh,
because
thank you.
I know I posted about it on Instagram, but it is so difficult to like get on a public platform, just talk about, especially like a time in your life where you probably were feeling so many things and a lot of struggles and insecurities. And it takes a lot. Like you're such a strong person for being
Thank
able to do
you.
that. And I know you are helping a lot of people.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Love
Um,
you.
Yeah, so my fitness journey also started in high school, and it was because H, who was the softball coach, also RIP.
Also RIP.
But my freshman year, he had the team. I don't even know if it was mandatory or not, but he had the team go to TNT, Total Nunziato
Yes.
Training, which is in Paramus, was in Elmwood Park at the time, and I attribute just my like love for fitness and like doing hard things and creating relationships and like just being in a room with like-minded people and just all the enjoyment and like purpose and passion to them. That was the kind of start. So I started lifting with my softball team. So during that time was when I first started to like compare my body to other women's
I
bodies.
do remember us having this conversation in high school, besides the point
Oh yeah.
that you've
And
blacked out on probably.
I was trying to think too, like, did I ever do that in middle school or when I was younger? And I think I was aware of my body. Like, I remember I had like a few pairs of sweatpants and I was like, oh, these are a little tight around my thighs and not around my waist or whatever it was. Like, I think I was aware,
Hmm.
but then it was just put on blast when
Right.
you're in a room with, people on your team who you're competing for spots with to play. They're like lifting up their shirts and like flexing their six pack abs and,
I was
whatever
not there.
like go off queen like for sure do that if that's what you like, but I that was just such an insecure time for me in terms of how my body looked. And
Hmm.
also I attribute to why I became a strength coach. All the strength and conditioning coaches you'll see were always like athletes, but they were never the good athletes, which is exactly what I was
That was
because
exactly me. That's funny. That's a good
It makes a lot of
statistic.
sense. Like
It does make a lot
looking
of
at it
sense.
now, like I like training more than I liked playing softball. I love softball. Don't get me wrong, but I looked at training as a way to, I was always like, my dad always said, like, don't let anybody outwork you. Like, always be the person that has an undeniable work ethic and like that will come to fruition. That will all pay off. So, yeah, I started training there. And again, I started training as a support and as not just to train for myself, but to make me better at softball.
Right.
And I did CrossFit for a little bit in between there. And then also while in high school was when I developed, I wasn't diagnosed with an eating disorder at that time. So I will say disordered eating habits, but it absolutely was an eating disorder
Mm-hmm.
because I would leave the house in the morning and not have anything. And then I would have, and I had the same thing every single day. And all my friends made fun of me for it, as they should. So I remember I had two turkey burgers with carrot sticks and celery sticks and almonds for lunch. And then if I had something before I would go to TNT and lift or before practice, it was like a rice cake or two. And then I would
Was this
come.
sophomore year or freshman year?
It was my freshman year.
Okay.
It started my freshman year and then just absolutely spiraled and got progressively worse as the years went on.
Yeah, no, I was trying to think back because I think I was a junior at that time that you came into the school. So I was already down a certain amount of weight, and then everybody in school thought that I also had an eating disorder, and it went all the way up to Mr. A, which had to explain to him that it was I'm fine. There was nothing wrong, but it kind of goes to show, like, before you continue, the insecurity of also being in an all-girl school too, because it's constant comparing of different people and the people that you surround yourself with too. And with soccer, they did not emphasize strength training at all. I did not know a single thing about it. They just want us to run, run, run. It was never emphasized as to, oh, we need to be strength training and do all this stuff. So it was nice that they did that for the softball team because they valued the softball team a little bit more than the soccer team, which is
Oh,
everybody knew that.
yeah.
And the basketball team, looking back, I had lost that weight when you came into the school already. I think I was already down like 50 or 60 pounds, but everybody, it was, oh, you're like so skinny now. What happened?
You look so good. You
Yeah,
look
you look
so
so
cute.
good. It's like, did I look bad before? Did I look bad before? Then then the body dysmorphia thing starts kicking in, and that you could touch base on that too. So you could continue, but that's what I kind of wanted to say because we've obviously been through that. So lunch was that for you, and then
Yeah.
you went to
Yeah.
train.
Oh yeah. Went to train and then would have like chicken breast and broccoli. It may be some rice for dinner.
Oh,
And yeah, like and it's funny now because what I say to my athletes I catch myself reflecting on is like what I needed to say to myself when I was
right, right, exactly.
similarly to what you just said. Everybody goes to a million different Sweet 16s in high school, and I remember
I was the fat kid then.
it is so real because everybody's taking pictures and everybody's wearing their nice dress and whose hair looks good, whose makeup looks good, who looks good in that dress, who doesn't look good, and it's
Yep.
just and on and social media on top of that just makes me want to cry. And it's just the comparison aspect at being revealed to that at such a young age where you're not secure in yourself enough to understand that just because another person looks a certain way doesn't mean that that's how you have to look. And I'm very grateful that I realize that now, even though I still struggle with it a lot. Yeah, like I remember just like not eating before Sweet 16s, or like if I knew I had, I was going out to a friend's house or going to a party or something, I'd be like, oh, I have to look so skinny. And then I needed to curate the perfect picture to highlight that I'm so skinny. And in one of your questions here, I think you ask, what's like the biggest fitness myth
Mm-hmm.
or something related to that. And my initial thought, I mean, there are literally so many myths that
Mm-hmm.
are just beyond stupid. I immediately thought of like skinny doesn't equal health because I again had so many people telling me like, "Oh, you look so good. What are you doing?" And like little did they know, again, the people that were saying that had good intentions, I'm sure, but little did they know that they were encouraging my disordered eating habits and what came to be an eating disorder. It's such a hard thing to navigate on top of all of the other social pressures, life pressures, family issues, your own issues. High school is a crazy time. I don't, which is why I like blocked.
You blocked out half of it, yeah. I mean, even like Sweet 16s, you brought that up. I remember one specific time we had a treadmill downstairs in my garage, and I ate so much that night, and I knew I had a problem because it turned into I went from 195 to 140, and then from that point, all these Sweet 16s that were happening, I was like, "You look so good, you look so good." I'm like, "I have to keep up with this because I can't gain all the weight back." And I remember eating so much. I came home, I went downstairs, it was midnight, and I ran on the treadmill for an hour. It was, I got off the treadmill at 1 o'clock in the morning, and what was the point of me doing that in the first place? And looking at it now, that looks psychotic that I even did that, but that was the thing at that time. The fit tees and Instagram just started up again, which is what I talked about the last episode. It was but from guys' perspective, is a little different than from your perspective because we've kind of gone through similar things. Definitely the habits that formed were from what we were dealing with surrounding us. And then I never wanted to weight train because it turned into, oh, which is another myth. Oh, you're gonna turn so bulky and you're gonna look like a man. And I never wanted to do it. And I was like, I'm not gonna do this. And then when I basically once I started working in supplements, the guys told me that you have to start weightlifting. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do all that. But it turned into why I'm in the career that I'm in now. Otherwise, and I feel a lot better now versus that skinnier self that's 25 pounds, I think, from, heavier than what I was when I first got in. And if I went back, which I'm sure for you, if you go back in time and told your old self, this is where you're at, you should probably have a heart attack.
Yeah, and like I still am this way now, but like I'm so stubborn and strong-headed. And even if I said that to my, high school self, I wouldn't have changed my ways because, and not to fast forward too much, but I went to college and I was seeing the school counselor
Mm.
for other reasons. And I just mentioned about how much I work out. And she asked me if I tracked my calories. And she was like, whoa, like you should not be tracking your calories. And I was
Right.
why? And I bring this up because I think both of us like had good intentions and thought we were doing the right things for our bodies. I was like, well, I just want to make sure I'm getting the proper nutrients and the calories and protein and carbs and whatever. And she was like, only the top like 0.1% of professional athletes should be tracking their calories that intensely. And I was just like,
Mm,
whoa. Like I remember that moment so vividly because I felt like the world just like blew up. Like I had feelings of anger and like, no, you're wrong.
right.
And that just completely opened up the can of worms of my eating disorder and yeah, and having to rewire my brain and like backtrack all of those steps that I had taken like not and it went obviously so far beyond nutrition and so far beyond fitness and it was how I saw myself and how I see myself now and but like I have so much gratitude towards that counselor because if she had not said that to me, I mean maybe I would have ended up in the same spot, but I think it would have taken me a significantly longer amount of time to get there. Yeah, college was an interesting time. My biggest thing in college was not my biggest, but I would pretty much every time I went out, I would keep a log of what I drank in my notes app, and then I would add up all the calories, and then I
Oh
would
my
go to
God.
the gym the next day and not leave until I burned that amount of calorie until my Apple Watch told me that I burned that amount of
Oh
calories.
my, I love the Apple Watch calorie count.
And it's just
That's
so
so bad.
I just want to hug myself because I'm like, girl,
It's not that hard. You're good.
and also like if you're drinking that much, maybe we have some deeper issues here.
Right.
And
No,
that's
that's another thing
another,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the adult population that I work with, they drink a lot. So during the right now we're doing a summer shred program. So they're in a 4 week training block slash nutrition, trying to cut out processed food, sugar, and alcohol at the moment. And they're all yapping about, oh, like I missed this, but I feel so much better. No shit. No
Wow, you're not
shit.
poisoning your
You don't have to
body.
drink every single day to be happy. You probably feel like garbage. And they all know it. I'm actually going to get on a call with them in 2 hours to talk about just answering questions for them. But, looking back for you and me, we've kind of gone through similar patterns. It's just, learning just that struggle point, that click that happened. My click was looking in the mirror and seeing that I looked completely different than I thought I looked because I was wearing baggy clothes all the time. So never saw how I visually looked until maybe 6 months into me gaining all the weight that I did. I turned to the mirror and I was like, whoa, who is that? And it just became the weight number. It didn't really become the muscle and the body fat number. I didn't know what the hell that meant. It was just like, oh, I'm just gonna lose all this weight. I have to. And I took extreme measures. That's why it's like the disorder type of habits because I never got diagnosed, but I was eating sometimes 500 calories a day or 1,000 calories a day. Kendall Jenner was posting fit teas and oh, drink green tea, drink a shot of apple cider vinegar. You're gonna lose a pound in it. Okay, whatever, I'll do it. But it made me more miserable and made me hate the process even more. I'm sure if tying it back to school, if somebody taught us nutrition in school earlier on, maybe we wouldn't have gone through the extent that we did. But it's also because we went through all that that we're here in the position that we're in right now. So it's a bittersweet thing, and the gratitude comes with that. Learning more about yourself. I'm probably in my head the best shape that I've been in. Like I feel a lot better. You're fucking strong. Okay. I was just saying this in the intro too. I was watching videos of Brittany bench pressing 185. And I'm sitting there like, damn, she's doing it for reps. I could probably hold it up, and I can't even get it all the way down, all the way back up. I think, well, my max is 155. And I was also powerlifting pretty heavy. Now it's more functional volume based training. So that's probably why I lost 20 pounds just from doing that and cardio and stuff like that. But what made you want to go that route with training? Because you did your first powerlifting meet, and I saw that. I've done three. I have three under my belt. So what made you want to do that?
Yeah, I think I was at a point where for a few years there, like I had did CrossFit. I think I was just enjoying learning about strength and conditioning and learning about athletic performance and how to make athletes athletes. And I was trying a lot of different things. I did a half marathon last summer in Norway, which was really cool and like awesome
It's
experience.
freaking cool.
But then I was like, you know what? I think I'm all set on this running thing. It's such a trend. Like, I love running. I'm sure I will return to it someday. And I was like, I gotta pick something, whether it's Olympic weightlifting or powerlifting or running. Our head strength coach at Fordham, Coach Joe Gilfetter, really pushes us to compete in something at least once a year.
That's
And so
awesome.
I actually was at TNT in it was around Christmas, and I was lifting with Jan. He would be a great person to have on the pod. I don't know if you know him.
I don't know him, but I've loved to connect with him at one point for
He's
sure.
great. Um, and we were just talking about like the hybrid athlete and how everybody nowadays is a hybrid athlete, and I give them the utmost credit because what they do is not easy and very challenging physically and mentally. Um, and he was like, well, no one walks into the room and sees the runner and says, "Oh, they probably run really fast and for a really long time." You walk into a room and you see, a jacked individual and be like, "Oh wow, like that person's really strong." And I'm like,
Right. Yeah.
let me just pick one thing instead of trying to get mediocrely good at,
I think it's a word.
I don't know, averagely
Whatever.
good.
Averagely good.
Yeah, averagely good at two, three, four things. Let me just get really strong. And that's what I enjoy the most. I don't think I've ever taken bench press, back squat, and deadlift out of my programs. And it's also where I feel the most myself. And I've been thinking about that lately. Like, I was so nervous for my powerlifting meet. I
Yeah, the
was
jitters.
excited, but so nervous, but more excitement than anything. And I always try to take myself back to like, this is my thing.
Right.
This is the thing that I enjoy and I find so much value in, and like this is where I excel. Like I am such a strong individual. Like it just brings me so much purpose and happiness. And so yeah, I signed up for the powerlifting meet, and coach Joe Sagara, who's a coach at Fordham, was like, let me program for you, let me coach you, and he has helped me
Sick.
tremendously. And yeah, the meet was in Bushwick, Brooklyn, almost 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
And
say your numbers out loud right now. What was your finisher? Because I needed to know. I was trying to read it and like it was too fast. I just need you to tell
it's
it.
also all in kilograms, which is literally the most annoying thing ever.
Annoying thing to do math. Yeah.
Like, I know that the rest of the world uses those numbers, and we are the most annoying
Oh,
people ever
yeah.
in the United States. But so back squat was 281. And then I tried 290 and I failed. Bench press was 198.45.
That's insane, dude. That's insane.
And it hurts my ego so bad not to, because you have to pause, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
And it hurts my ego because I benched 225 with my, butt up in the air, no pause in front of the football team. And I'm like, yay. But I know that's still a great number and I'm happy.
Right. 225 is insane. People can't even like pick that off the ground. So that's
Oh
awesome.
yeah. If there were not 50 football players screaming at me, I wouldn't have done
It's
it.
the adrenaline
Yeah.
for sure from the football team for sure.
And then deadlift, I was like, listen, Joe, I don't care what I do in this meet. All I want to do is pick up 400 pounds off the floor. I don't care what I bench. I don't care what I squat. I was like, don't tell me what the numbers are, but I just want to pick up 400 pounds. So my opener was 365. That's something I know I can hit confidently. My next one was, I think, 386 or something. It was over 385, but not by much because I'd hit 385 before just
Hmm.
at our weight room at Fordham. And so Joe was like, okay, I'm going to make her second PR. I told him, don't tell me what the weights are. I don't want to know.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. I just want to not think
Just
the
don't think it, just don't.
last.
And then I had to close my ears to before once they started saying the number out loud, I was like, no, 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 I can't, no, I can't.
Yeah. Well, when they announced it, the announcer and the MC was like so funny, but he was like, you've seen 100, you've seen 200,
That's funny as
you've
hell.
seen 300. And then he was like, 400 pounds. And I thought it was 400 on the dot. It was 402.
Okay.
And dude, I like, not to sound arrogant, but I freaking smashed it. And it's so funny because usually I struggle the most with pulling from the floor,
Hmm.
and I struggled locking it out there. And the video, I just like, I watch it 300 times a day. I don't care if that's narcissistic or whatever, but it was just like the coolest moment ever. I cried
Right. That's
so
amazing.
much. Yeah, my family was there. My coaches from Fordham came.
That's awesome.
I can't wait to compete again.
It's such a great experience. I'm happy that I got to do it. It's insane.
Everyone was so encouraging. That was the
Yes.
biggest thing. Like, I have no idea who these women and men are, but I'm like, yeah, I want you to crush your lift. And they were cheering for me. And it's such like an awesome
I
environment.
ate a lot of sugar and energy drinks that every time that I did one of those comps. I was so tweaked out by the end. I think the most I pulled out at comp was 325 on the ground. And it
Yeah.
didn't count because I rounded my back a little
I
bit,
know.
but I still counted.
If you're
My
not running, are you really trying?
my coach was like, it counted. I'm like, okay, as long as you say it counts, then I don't really care what else, whatever. I don't need a title or anything like that. But it's awesome that you're able to do that. And I guess is that what you're most proud of in your journey so far is that you competed, or is there something that really ties it in?
I think honestly, the half marathon was just such an overwhelmingly unreal experience overall. Like I went to Norway by myself, and like Tromso, Norway is like Antarctica, like it's the North Pole, and it was
Mhm.
just such an unreal experience. I remember I had like the gels that you're supposed to have every
Oh
35
yes, yes,
minutes. I went to mile 7 and forgot to take my gels because I was just like living, running through the
amazing.
mountains. It was so
Yeah,
so that I think was just one of the best like experience I've had in like my life. But I think that the meet was the thing I'm most proud of because it just felt very full circle.
right. Yeah.
I tie so much of who I am into strength, and to be supported by so many people and to like really push myself to my limit and do something I've set out for months and years was pretty cool.
And like the perspective change for you in training went from your running to then you went into powerlifting is everybody I feel that it's running now, the running marathons, it's high rocks training, which I feel like everybody and their mother did last what was it 2 weeks ago or something like that. It's powerlifting or it's bodybuilding. So it's a wild, back and forth, but your perspective on food and training probably has changed since you first started. What are you doing now as far as nutrition goes? Because you have to be obviously counting your macros and stuff, or you're following along. What are you doing?
I'm actually not tracking at
Yeah, that's
all.
great.
I am, well, I shouldn't say that. I track how much protein I eat in my head every day.
Okay, fair.
And like sometimes I'll write it down just to keep track of it, just because Like I think I'm just very wary of being too obsessive with it.
Yeah,
I think I'm at a point now where like if I did want to pull out the good old MyFitnessPal, I think I'd be okay.
right.
I just it's not worth it in my opinion to even put myself in that scenario. I'm eating a lot of steak and eggs. Usually I mean I have 6 eggs at some point during the day every day, but I'll just eat a lot of protein. I'll try
Mm.
to stay away from processed foods as much as I can.
Just being conscious of what you're eating, basically.
Exactly. Eat things from the ground. Don't, like I'll give myself a little sweet treat every now and again, but it's a very relieving feeling for that to not be the focal point of my existence. So I'm just rocking with that.
And that was the journey of, where you started to now, which is full circle. And for me, I preach to the choir at work all the time with, especially with the older generation, because they never understood tracking protein at all or macro counting in general. And I've gotten to a point where a majority of them have been training for probably 5+ years that have an idea on how to do it now without having to track everything to a T. They kind of know what they're doing. And then the newer people trying to drill in their brains that this is not supposed to be some toxic thing to stress, stress, stress. It's just mainly understanding what you're putting into your body, why you're gaining weight, why your hormones are out of whack, and it's trying to make it not this toxic stigma that surrounds calorie counting. Because I don't even count calories at all. That's something I stopped doing like years ago because that triggers me. And just it, explaining to them that macros is it matters what you eat. That's why this plan that I wrote for them, I wrote everything out, but it's all portioned out for them. So they don't have to really think about or have to track something if they follow it to a T, of course. But they don't have to track anything. They just have to manage their portion control sizes. And that's pretty much it, which is what I try to preach all the time. And I'm sure with the athletes too, sometimes it gets hard to have those conversations, especially with the middle school kids. I feel like the middle school kids are goes over their head. I'm gonna go eat pizza and I'm gonna go do this and this and this. So you work with kids. What's your conversation with them with nutrition, but from the middle school all the way to college? Obviously, you work with a whole range of kids.
It's difficult because so like I'll work with the football team, but then I'll also work with the women's rowing team. Like I have my precision nutrition level 1 certification. So I like very much stress to them that I'm not a registered dietitian.
Mhm.
So I do have a nutrition certification. So like I can give them guidance. And we've actually been making an effort to just bridge the gap between the counseling center at Fordham and athletics. And so I will meet actually with all the women's teams. So like women's soccer, volleyball. And even though I don't coach them, it's really nice to have relationships with them. And I'll basically just kind of have an open conversation about like how they view food, like how, like understanding that it shouldn't be obsessive, but it is fueling your body, and fueling your body heavily affects your performance. So, how can we find a way to have a healthy relationship? And that looks different for everybody. So, it's, I think, first off, educating them on what each macronutrient does, nutrient timing, when they should be eating, hydration, of course, is a factor, sleep, of course, is a factor. I think educating them on just how to live a healthy lifestyle. One of the best things that as like professionals we can do. And then just keeping the floor open for like the conversations of, okay, I'm struggling with a big one is I'm having dinner with my roommate who doesn't play a sport and she eats significantly less than I do. And that's a big conversation around like, okay, well, how much do I eat? And of course, every need is different for each individual and for every sport. I'm not going to tell, a 305-pound offensive lineman the same to eat the same things that I'm going to tell, a tight end or a defensive back. So I think it just varies from person to person, but I'm very appreciative that I've been able to be that bridge between, maybe meeting with teams that I don't even coach and just being that point person to, okay, I've been an athlete, I've struggled with disordered eating habits, I've been in the shoes that you've been in, and I'm just here for guidance and as a resource.
I guess a good question would be, what if someone's listening that's just starting out, what's the one piece of advice you would try to give them?
I think I would say, A, don't watch the what I eat in a day videos that you see on social media because those
It's
just absolutely
crazy.
sent me and they make me they make me rationally mad because
Not
I should,
irrationally,
no, rationally.
rationally mad.
Um, But I think understanding that what works for other people may not necessarily work for you and figuring out what is best for you and your body will help you so much more in the long run than trying to eat like someone specifically, or do a certain fitness because someone you see on social media does that type of fitness. So I think like figure out what works for you, and also think about this. Think about if you really love fitness, and it could be running, could be strength training, whatever it is, and you want to do this forever, you got to be thinking long term, because I think a lot of people, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure you see this a lot in the private sector of like they want results really fast. Or like, why am I not losing weight? Or why am I not getting stronger? Or why am I not doing this, this, and this? And it's like you have to be consistent. And if you have good lifestyle habits and if you have a plan to reach your goals, you just have to be like consistency is undeniable. And like the results will come doing the tedious things and like keep like there's a book called Chop Wood, Carry Water, and it's just about like doing the little things and how they all add up to, big results. And so I'd say just like keep chopping wood and carrying water and have patience with yourself. But consistency and discipline it
Yeah.
works. It shows results eventually.
Got to do the boring stuff, to be honest. I think that's a good point because for especially the private sector, it's I want to get these results fast. I don't want to waste time. And then the other people that train 3 or 4 times a week that go through all the motions of actually doing what we're telling them to do, see the better result than the other person.
Mhm.
It's simple. Just eat more protein, weight lift. You don't have to start excessively doing cardio. It's a lot. It's especially like tying it back with like the myths and the conversations, the what I eat in a days. I used to watch this shit all the time. What I eat in a days. I think that's also I brought it up before. I think to somebody I was watching a lot of guys what I eat in a days when YouTube was at its peak, and I love the dudes that I used to watch. I still watch them consistently, but I knew in my head I can eat like them because they're at a different level than I was. But those were things I just tried to pull ideas from, where some people are promoting their eating habits and thinking it's going to work for the same person that's watching, which drives me crazy too. But, oh, buy my ebook. Here's my nutrition book.
Mm-hmm.
Are you certified? No. But these
And
are the people that are making money. So,
and I'm sure it frustrates you too, just as much as it frustrates me, if not more. It's like people want to listen to these no hate to influencers, or to these influencers that don't have credentials or don't have the education or don't have the experience, and they want to listen to these people because they look a certain way, and not to the people that are educated and it can actually help them reach their goals. And I could talk about this literally forever
I was
because
going to say hours.
it fires me up to my core. But
Because
yeah,
I'm sure you've gotten people that come in, I've gotten it, but they'll look at a workout thing on Instagram and they're like, can we do this?
yeah.
Like, this works my lower abs.
How about you do 50 push-ups in a row and show that you can control your own body weight first, and then we'll do all the, and like it comes to mind immediately, but like all the baseball specific training. And it's like,
Hmm.
dude,
Hmm.
you can't you can't front squat your own body weight, and you want to do this hamstring perturbate. No, 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 no. I would be doing them a disservice if I just was like,
Right.
yeah, sure, like let's try it. And again, that's what, the cool exercises look cool and look appealing, and they look like they have a good ROI. And that's my biggest struggle with trying to explain that to like 18 to 21-year-old males for the most part. Me, a young female, and like not to throw gender roles in there, but we'd be naive to ignore that they
Yeah.
are very prevalent and matter, because a football team is going to look at me a different way than they look at a male strength coach. But
Mm.
it's so hard to, I think, for again, not everybody, but someone of that age to be like, just hear that they're wrong, or or be told that they have to do the boring things, and that they have to stay consistent with things that they don't want to do. I think it's just a hard situation to kind of get a handle on. But I think that comes with building trust, and I think it comes with like reiterating to athletes and clients like, we're on the same page here. Like, I'm trying to help you. I have valued my time at Fordham so much because I've been there for 3 years. So I've at least more than 3 years, but I've seen athletes like develop, and I can see my relationship with, maybe a graduating senior when I first came in is going to be different than a freshman that I have now seen grow and have helped over the last 3 years. Like, they're going to trust me and trust the things I say a little bit more than somebody who, is already really strong. I'm like, well, I got to where I am because of the things that I've been doing. So I'm going to be a little bit less resistant to maybe some of your training methods or some of your nutritional advice because, I got where I am. And you're going to have stubborn people in every aspect of life and of fitness. And it's just being able to relate to them and like reiterate to them that like I'm trying to help you and you need to trust me and know that I'm doing everything that I can for your best interests. I kind of rambled a little bit.
No, no. I mean, it's a good point. I was gonna say I talked about this on the first one, but again, you could agree, you could disagree. The It's also mentally taxing when you're working all day long and then you have to get yourself motivated to then train yourself. So that was a struggle I've been going through for the last like 6 months or so, which is why I switched up my training. There's so many things that I have to do on a daily basis is whether I'm there at 5:30 in the morning and then I'm in the sales role, I'm in the nutrition role, I'm in head coach role, I'm doing everything community management. I cannot sit and train for 2 hours. And it's also trying to find a way to separate the gym and your job, which I'm sure you go through too, because you're obviously working and you're working out in the same space. So how do you do it? Or are there obviously there's going to be days that are harder, but what gets you through that?
Yeah, I think I'm in a unique situation because my schedule completely changes from semester to semester, from summer to the winter. So, like right now, my schedule is 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., a large break, and then it starts back up around 2. And I'll have stuff in between that, like we talked about earlier. But now's the time where like I have a lot more availability and time versus sometimes in the semester. Like last semester, this spring, like I had to move my off day to Tuesday because I was just going from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. and I had 1 hour in between, I think it was like 8 to 9. And then I had like 30 minutes really in between like when I had to warm up a team and then when I had to start coaching again. So I was like, I could try and fit it in there, but is it going to be more stressful
Yeah.
to me, and will that set me up for failure for the rest of the day and for the next day? So I think it depends semesters to semester and like how my schedule is. Balancing being able to train in the same place that I work is tough.
It's tough.
I don't really have an answer for that because
It's fucking tough.
like
It's fucking
I'll be
tough.
in the middle of a set and an athlete will come up to if we're in open hours or if
Right.
someone comes and I'm like they're like, "Hey, can you demonstrate this?" And I'm like, "No." I say
Oh,
yes.
you guys have open
Oh,
hours.
yeah.
We don't
Not a
have that.
lot because our schedule is just filled. Like we have one weight room for 22 teams. So
Right. That's a lot.
have
Yeah.
open hours. But I think like our staff does a really good job of like if I'm training our head strength coach or another strength coach, like they know not to come and ask me a question. And it's not like they know not to come ask me a question. It's just if someone's training, like let them train. So I think
Right.
we all just have a mutual understanding of course, if we're strength coaches, we obviously value we all know that we're very busy and we all know that we have limited time to train and that training is an outlet for all of us and something that brings us joy and happiness and not all the time, but for the most part.
Hmm.
And so I think like our staff knowing that is a really big thing. When I train, of course, depends on what I'm doing. Usually lower body, I'm a little bit more not locked in, but I think a little bit more like aggressive. Like
Right. Yeah.
today I was doing chain low bar squats and I was like grunting like and screaming in between my reps. And a rower came in and was like, "What's up, Coach Britt?" And I was like, "Hey." And she went to camp come and ask me a question and she was like, "I'll ask later."
I know. They're like, no, I'm good. You're
Yeah.
scary.
But I mean, for the most part, I think it's just setting your boundaries of like, hey, I'm training right now. Or I have my phone on me because my program is on an app called Train Heroic, and so I'll have
We use
my
True
phone
Coach.
with me. And so I just won't like look at anything. Like if I get an email from a coach or if I get a text from a coach, I just like don't reply. And I think that's another thing that I'm just not that I don't care, obviously, but like nothing is so urgent that I need to put a pause on what I'm doing. Of course, there's, exceptions to that, but there is nothing so urgent that I can't wait 10 or 20 minutes for me to reply to somebody. Yeah, I think just like setting the hard boundary of when I'm training, I'm training.
Mhm.
And even though I have my phone on me, that doesn't mean that I'm answering your text.
Right. It's also discipline too. It's another thing. Just trying to, that's why for me, I have to try to block out like an hour to an hour and a half, giving
Mhm.
me like a window of time to just force myself to train and screw the distractions of looking at an email and thinking I have to answer it right away, trying to help somebody with training and X, Y, and Z. That's also part of the reason today, for example, I usually get out of work at like 3. I'm not going to sit there and train after 3 because I know all the clients come in at that time and they're going to ask me a bajillion questions. I'm going to be stuck there till, 5 or 6 o'clock at night. And then I have to be in the next day at a certain time. I'm good. I'll just train somewhere else. So it's like separating that too. But it's also just a pain in the ass to just go from one gym to another gym and then go home commuting wise back and forth. Because I don't know how far the Bronx is from you, but for me, my job is 30 on a good day and then 50 on a bad day. Traffic.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I live in the city. I live in like South Harlem, technically. Like I'm right above Central Park.
oh, okay.
But I do drive. And I think if I didn't have family in North Jersey, I would take public transportation. It would just take significantly longer.
Right.
Because in the mornings when there's nobody on the road at 5, it takes me 20 minutes, but coming home, it could take me anywhere. For like today, it took me 45 minutes. And when I was commuting from New Jersey for a few months, I would try and use that time to like wind down,
Mm-hmm.
decompress. And you just can't do that when you're driving over the GW, or you can't do that when you're constantly getting cut off
And
or
road raging.
yeah, no, I'm raging. All my friends,
Uh,
like my friend Sarah, who grew up in Vermont, lived in Portland, Maine, now lives in Rhode Island. She's like, I'm like scared to get in a car with you. Or she's like, why do you let that stuff bother you? Like your cortisol is probably just so high because you get mad at people. And I'm like,
it don't matter.
I don't care. Yeah.
It don't matter. No, I
But
totally understand. It's cool to hear your perspective on certain things too, and know that it's not just me going through it. It's other people that are going through it. And that's part of the also because I love you, but also part of the reason why I wanted you on here because we have similar set points from the beginning to now. And you just working in a different space than I am, but pretty much started from the same place and then went through all the ups and downs. And now we're handling things like in a similar aspect, but in different ways too. So just hearing your insight has been awesome, of course. I would like to just throw out where can people connect with you?
I'm pretty active on Instagram. It's my full name, which is kind of long. So it's
I'll put it
at,
in the description.
thank you, at Brittany, Brittany underscore Vandergroef, Vandergroef.
You ever spell your last name wrong?
It's so funny that you
Because you're like,
up
EF.
because my boss, who I've again worked with for more than 3 years and has written and typed my name on many occasions, just added an extra F and misspelled my last name. I've never spelled it wrong, but it's so funny that you bring that up because my boss just
It's
did
all right.
it.
My boss sometimes calls me Steve instead of Steph. Autocorrect.
No, my yeah.
Shout out.
Um, and then my email is on the Fordham website, but BA at Gmail or bvandergroef at fordham.edu.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's gonna be people that are on here that want to connect with you, and if they are interested in strength and conditioning in the collegiate world, they could obviously reach out to you. And you said you had 4 interns. We have 6 this summer, so it's a lot of new heads. But these, I don't know for you before I tie it up, but for us, those 6 interns are so into it. And I've never, it's such a refreshing thing because they want to learn and they want to help and they want to keep coaching. And it's only week 2, hands on with everybody. And I love that shit. I don't know if it's the same with you, but I love that shit.
Yeah, ours are too. And you could tell like I joke around with people a lot. I'm
Me too.
very quick with,
I talk
making
shit
fun of
too,
people in a joking way. Yeah, all the time.
all the time.
And yeah, you can tell that they really like they're sponges and they will ask us questions. And whenever we speak, they're so attentive to our answers. And I tell them too, and like kind of tie back into where people can connect with me. Like during COVID, I was just DMing people on Instagram and sending people emails and being like, hey, do you want to hop on the phone? And like some people didn't reply, which was cool, not cool, but which was fine.
Whatever.
And some people like I still stay in contact with and I'm like friends with or close with from that time. So, and I think like
Awesome.
if you're in the fitness space, I think we're all just of a similar mindset of wanting to grow, wanting to get better. So like, please reach out to me. I love to talk to people and I love to help people. That's why I do what I do. That's why I love like doing podcasts like this and like reconnecting with you. And it's all good
We gotta
stuff.
hang out.
Yeah.
Gotta hang out. We gotta find the
Literally anytime.
time. Yeah, we gotta find the time.
We gotta come up to Varsity House too, because it's really not that far.
No, you're not far from us.
And
It's a
now,
lot of college guys that train here too. So
yeah.
they just started their college program because a lot of the kids came back for the summer. So we have like a summer program that started up like last week. But today there was like 20 kids. I was like, holy shit, there's Whoa, everybody came back at once. But it's
Yeah.
it's awesome. You guys are definitely more than welcome to come on. And do you have any last words for somebody that's on the fence about starting their own journeys
Do
before
it.
I take?
Dive head first. And the worst case scenario is you find things you don't like. Best case scenario, you find something that you like I did, and you make it your whole personality and career. Do different things, try it out, surround yourself with good people.
No, thank you. I appreciate you even accepting the offer to come on here and be the number three or number two guest really on the third episode. So I do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to be on here with me.
My
And
God, of course. Thanks for
I'm super
everything.
grateful and I hope everybody got something out of this. And again, like I said, she's definitely somebody to follow and reach out to. And I'm looking forward to reconnecting and hanging out, and hopefully getting a lift in, even though I probably look ridiculous training next to you.
Oh, stop.
But I'm looking forward to that. But I do appreciate it. And thank you everybody for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.